Cuando llegaré al bohío, cuando llegaré, cuando llegaré al bohío.
We need music and art and heart more than anything. Thank you, Mario. Richard, would you come up? I'm Pastor Liz from Old Dutch Church. I'm so grateful you all came and you're all showing so much love.
Good afternoon. We at Rural and Migrant Ministry have, like I'm sure many of you, spent months trying to figure out how to get the message that is an alternative to the cruelty, to the fear, to the anger that pervades the administration's policies and those who are buying into those policies. We have joined, as you have, in protests. We have joined in vigils. We have written. We have screamed. We have sung. We've yelled. And a month or so ago, we thought, what else can we do? What else can we do to try to connect and to break through this oppositional realm that's so pervasive? And so we thought, what if we focus on our economy? What if we focus on the fact that we're all connected to our economy? We'd still do our protests, we'd still do everything else, but we'd put together a caravan that focused on our rural economy and the investment that we all have. Now, yes, we know that that meant sort of appealing to people's self-interest, but we figured we needed to connect with that because it hit us. If you do an immigration raid on a dairy farm, nobody's milking the cows. If nobody's milking the cows, then there's no milk. If there's no milk, there's no Chobani. In addition to that, though, as we discovered in Liberty in the Catskills a while back when they did a raid of one of the plants there, and the town sort of had a kind of reaction. I mean, not the immigrant families and the people related to the 220-some folk that were detained, but the rest of the town was And then shortly thereafter, the landlords realized people aren't paying their rents. And then the hardware store owner realized people aren't shopping at my hardware store. And it began to sink in. It's we, not they. And so the idea behind this caravan is to invite people from all over to join in and bear witness to the humanity of our immigrant brothers and sisters, because we at RMM know darn well our immigrant brothers and sisters that are part of RMM can't join in. Our brothers and sisters are too fearful to even come to some of our events, right? You've all experienced that. So how do we get the voices of those of us who have privilege, those of us who have some degree of power, less than we think we have perhaps, to come together and give voice to the humanity and to send a message to our elected officials that your efforts, if you're headed in this direction, to speak against the immigrants, to create policies against our immigrant brothers and sisters, are harming our own communities, your own constituents. And maybe they change, maybe they don't change, maybe this caravan has an impact, maybe it doesn't, but we felt we had to do something. And we have to keep doing things, along with our protests and our vigils and what have you. We had to find something else to maybe connect. And so this caravan began on Saturday morning in the Hamptons. Yes, those Hamptons. East Hampton. There were over 50 people there. Some of them had rather fancy cars. And the leader of the caravan at that moment led us, as we came out of St. Luke's Episcopal Church, to the beach. Like, wait, the beach isn't on our agenda here. But we went up to the beach, right as all these folks were going to the beach. And there we are with these cars with all of our signs saying, show empathy and love your neighbor and honor immigrants. And it was an amazing reaction. It's like people would stop and go. And again, I don't know how much it connected, but it broke the avenue. So we were on Long Island. Over 200 people participated in Long Island. We came up yesterday, we were at the Chester Agricultural Center. And then we were at the detention facility at the Orange County Jail. And then we stopped in Highland in front of the Taconic Rehab Center to talk about the importance of our immigrant brothers and sisters on health care, elder care, home care. And again, a reminder, you remove those brothers and sisters, you're harming yourself, you're harming others. Today we're here, we're on our way up to Columbia County, where we'll be joined by a farmer who will speak about the challenges she's facing trying to harvest her crops. And then we head further north, and eventually we arrive at the John Brown Society, where the director of the John Brown Society is going to talk about the parallels with the Fugitive Slave Act and chasing down people, of which we were reminded yesterday when one of the children of one of our fellow Episcopal priests who went in to renew her student visa, class of 2024 in Scarsdale, and she was detained, and now she's in Louisiana 2 days later. People chasing people down has parallels in our history. But our history also has parallels of people speaking out and speaking for justice and speaking for a different way. And so we'll continue up and we'll go to Elise Stefanik's office and we'll have a vigil there. Oh, it gets better. Then we're continuing along the St. Lawrence Seaway, where hundreds of people have been organizing for this caravan, and I send message to you from them, thanking you for helping start this caravan. And they are organizing in Messina and Ogdensburg and Watertown. I didn't even know there were people up there. There are lots of people up there, and they're feeling energized knowing they're not alone. And then we're arriving at the bridge from Canada to New York at the Thousand Islands, where there is a huge welcome center. And right next to the welcome center, they're building a huge detention facility. And we will be in front of that. And then we're going to Tom Homan, who has a weekend home in Saget's Harbor in the Thousand Islands. And we will gather in front of Tom Homan's home, the head of ICE. And we ask you to keep us in your prayers as we do that. And we'll continue then down through Oswego and Auburn to Harriet Tubman's home, and then to Rochester, and then to the detention facility in Batavia. And then we'll end up in Buffalo next Saturday. So keep us in your mind, but don't let today just be the only day you bear witness. It's great to be here. It's filled with energy. We need you to join us in the Caravan, because that's where we're publicly bearing witness. Liz loves having people here, but Liz has a reputation of having folks like us here, right? So we need to be out there. So look at our calendar. Gittel is somewhere. Gittel has our agenda. You know you want to get away. You know you've been working too hard. Go to the Adirondacks. Go to Northern New York. Go to the Thousand Islands. Join us. It's what we call our advocacy tourism effort, right? So come join us. And finally, Sholi, our wonderful colleague Sholi, has a draft of a letter that you can send to Congressman Ryan espousing what we're here today for. So write him a letter. Keep at this. And finally say, we are so honored to be in the home of Kingston and the Ulster Defense Immigrant Network. You have been a beacon to all of us. Your energy and your power and your commitment give us all such energy. So thank you all so much. And I know she's about to speak. A special thanks also to the Worker Justice Center, who has been so on the cutting edge. Thank you all so much.
Before we call Emma up, I would like to say that I'm new here in Ulster County. I spent I came from Brooklyn, like a lot of you, but I spent 35 years in Highland Park, right underneath, I considered the Mordor, right? The Elizabeth Detention Center and Delaney Hall. So it means everything for me to be here with all of you, and with the support that we've received in our town, that our mayor and our police department were thrilled to give the Caravan parking lot today. And so we just enjoy so much support. And I would like to now call up Jen Metzger, our county executive, who would like to encourage you all.
Wow, it is really an honor to be here in this sanctuary. Thank you so much for hosting this, and to be here with all of you, to stand side by side in support of our immigrant brothers and sisters, our immigrant community members. As the journey of Empathy Caravan passes through Kingston, we're reminded that the story of New York's rural economy and Ulster County itself is inseparable from the story of immigration. Our immigrant neighbors feed us, they build our homes, they care for us, they care for our families, they strengthen our communities in countless ways, they enrich our communities in countless ways. So since this all started happening, I have been trying to just wherever I can, just share with people information about like how much our economy, our current economy, depends on immigrants. And we'll just, our agricultural sector is our largest economic sector next to tourism. And actually tourism depends on agriculture for agritourism. We have the fourth largest agricultural workforce in the state, and it is predominantly immigrant labor. 1,800 people work on our farms, and they're mostly small and medium farms where very lucky. We grow this wonderful, like, bounty, huge diversity of foods, of specialty crops, of berries, orchards, all of these things. They're all very labor intensive. And that is why we have such a large agricultural workforce. But it's not just our agricultural workforce. We have immigrants, our own businesses we eat at regularly in Kingston and elsewhere, sharing their foods, their tastes, their cultures. How lucky are we to be graced with that presence? So their work sustains us, their contributions matter, and their rights must be protected. And Ulster County will not partner in cruelty, and we will not partner in the inhumane treatment of anyone. We are seeing, not just an attack on immigrants, but an attack on the values that we share. We're seeing an attack on the Constitution, of both the New York State Constitution and the federal Constitution. The rights enshrined in those constitutions are not the rights of citizens, they're the rights of humans, of human beings. And they say people and residents for a reason. They don't say citizens. So we are going to stand by and uphold that Constitution. We have an executive order that's been in place since the first Trump administration, where we do not collect information on people's immigration status as a county government, and we will neither collect it nor share it unless required by federal law. We follow federal law. We don't follow directives that are outside of, above the law and above our Constitution. So I just want to make that clear. As we face a climate of fear, exclusion, and misinformation, we choose something else. We choose inclusion. We choose courage. We choose community. We organize, we speak up, because when we see injustice, silence is not an option. So I want to thank Rural Migrant Ministries for organizing this caravan. I love it. And you bring it all together, because, I love that it's called the Empathy Caravan, because it is, even though you're talking about the economy too, which is really important, because people do not think about that. But it's also about our shared humanity, right? And who we are as a community. So thank you for doing this, for taking this on the road, and for showing up at certain people's homes. I really appreciate that. I also want to thank the Ulster Immigrant Defense Network for all of the work that they do. There's a community that is protecting people here in Kingston, and we have to feel very fortunate about that. In Ulster County, we have put cards out for people that they can put in their back pockets in any county building, in all county buildings, in English and Spanish, so they can know their rights. But we have community organizations that are doing this work every day in our communities, so thank you for that. And to all of our immigrant community members, know that we care and value you. We care about you and value every single person that lives in this county and contributes to this county. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for showing up. And I just want to say, I also just want to introduce someone as well. Dina Suggs, who's in the first row. Dina, yeah, come on up, Dina. Yeah, this is Dina's first day. So Dina, many of you may know Essie Lewis, who was our Chief Diversity Officer. She has moved on to, she's done great things for the last 2 years, but has important work to do in New Paltz. And we are so blessed to have Dina step into that role, and she is someone that can fill those big shoes left by Essie Lewis. And is fluent in Spanish and Portuguese as well as English. And so I don't know if you want to say hello.
I'll just say hello very briefly. It's an enormous honor to be here on my first day with Jen's team at the Ulster County Executive Office, and I'm just absolutely energized and thrilled to see this Empathy Caravan. I also stand with you in support. Immigrants are so fundamental to our life. And I'll leave it there, but I'll just say adelante.
I'd like to call up one more county hero. Taylor, would you come forward? Tell us a little bit about the stand that you're taking, and we all stand with you, and just let us know a little bit about, your thoughts. I know that you are one of the people who welcomes new Americans, so.
Thank you, Pastor. So I'm Taylor Brook. I'm the acting Ulster County Clerk. I think the incident referred to is regarding a lawsuit that some of you may have heard about from the state of Texas. They are suing me for not filing a judgment against a doctor here in Ulster County that was accused of giving abortion medication to a Texas resident, but luckily here, we're really fortunate to live in a state that cares about things like this and has laws in place to prevent that. But part of my other role outside of all that's going on is we welcome new citizens into the clerk's office. We host the naturalization ceremonies, and it's been such an honor of mine. I've been attending them for about 4 years now, and what you hear from folks that are at the finish line of finishing their naturalization process is how long it took and how expensive it is. And I'm also the City of Kingston historian, and I constantly think about my own family. And when they immigrated here from Ireland and Italy, there was no quotas on where you could come from. The cost of it was the cost of the ticket of the ship. And so when I hear people complaining about, well, no, we do want immigration, but we want them to do it legally, stop making laws to make it harder. This is intentional. It's completely intentional. They don't want them coming, and it's frustrating. And we had another illustration of that about 2 weeks ago. So county clerk's offices used to be reimbursed for hosting the naturalization ceremonies. We would be reimbursed per citizen. And a couple weeks ago, most of the county clerks received a phone call from Immigration Services that said, don't ever expect that money again. And these are people at the finish line of their naturalization. So this is not illegal immigration. They don't want legal immigration. And this has to be driven home too. Like, that is a talking point that is completely fabricated and false, and we really need to push back against. But one good thing that we still have in New York State is the green light law. So immigrants are still allowed to get driver's licenses in New York State regardless of immigration status. We do not ask immigration status at the clerk's office. So if you know anyone who's interested or even maybe concerned that they don't want to go to the government to do these things, we don't even ask immigration status, so we don't have records of it. And it's still, right now, we are being sued over it, but as that lawsuit's pending, it's still valid, and I would recommend everyone get in now before the ruling comes down. But I just wanted to finish with some big ideas about immigration, because I used to give lectures about the history of immigration and how it's changed over time, because right now it's as hard as it's ever been. But something that folks might not know is that George Washington, after the Battle of Yorktown, wrote a letter. And in the letter, he said something pretty fascinating. He's talking about the soldiers that fought and died in the Revolutionary War, a lot of them from right here in New York and Ulster County. And he said that they should be proud that they have succeeded in erecting a stupendous fabric of freedom and empire on the broad basis of independence, and establishing an asylum for the poor and oppressed of all nations and religions. That is from George Washington, right after the victory of the Revolutionary War. So when they talk about patriotism, this is patriotism. What you're all doing here today is patriotism. Helping people come to this country is the exact reason the country was founded. That's what makes America great. So keep doing the good work, keep being patriotic, and let's flip the narrative on this and try to just help people. Thank you so much.
So we have so many people that you could hear from. I just want to do a couple of shout outs. We had a member I met from the AFL-CIO, somebody traveling with the Caravan. So stand up. Yay. We also have Dylan. That's Dylan. Okay, good. And you're the labor, okay, good. I wanted to make sure we got you. If you'd like to talk to Dylan, he'll be around. And now I would like to call up Emma Krejci. Are you here, Emma? Okay, good. Tell us a little bit about workers' justice.
Hi, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience. My name, again, is Emma Krejci. I'm with the Worker Justice Center of New York. Our office is located half a block from here, so we are neighbors. Thank you for inviting me. I want to appreciate Rural and Migrant Ministry and all of the folks that are making this caravan happen. Thank you to our elected officials who came out today to show us how much this matters to you. I've been with the Worker Justice Center now for, I think, over 14 years. Or something like that. We are a not-for-profit legal services and advocacy organization that fights to defend and advance the rights of low-wage workers. We principally work with immigrants. We provide labor and employment legal services at no charge to farm workers and other low-wage immigrant workers in a whole range of different industries. What some of you know is that I actually got my start at RMM almost 25 years ago. Yeah, and so I feel very deeply connected to this event on a personal level. What I saw and learned as a young person working at Rural and Migrant Ministry has deeply shaped who I am and the work that I do, and how I show up every day. So I wanted to share that with you all because it is very important to me. I first got involved with RMM, I think, when I was in college, and we were doing advocacy days in Albany to fight for the passage of the Farm Laborers Fair Labor Practices Act, which I know, shout out, how many of you have been to those actions over the years? I think there's quite a few of you in the room. So we fought for this bill, and I mean the collective we, for I think over 20 years. And in 2019, we celebrated what was really a massive victory for farm workers in New York State. For real, thanks to Jen Metzger. And to all the people who fought for so many years, but Jen was a key ally in this fight. We won this law. It was a state bill that granted farm workers the right to a day of rest, the right to overtime pay, the right to collective bargaining, to be able to collectively bargain with their employers free from retaliation, and join a union if they choose. Now, since the implementation of that law in 2020, farm workers have faced obstacle after obstacle, starting with the COVID pandemic, right? Farm workers, the most essential of all essential workers, risk their lives daily to put food on their tables, and those who lost their jobs found themselves in a total free fall without access to social safety net, unemployment, and other benefits. And in the years since, efforts by farm workers to organize in their workplaces has been met with what I would characterize as unrelenting backlash. First, farm owners sued to delay the full implementation of the new law. That is ongoing. But now we are seeing as workers are actually winning contracts through arbitration that employers are flat out refusing to comply with the collective bargaining agreements that they have reached through this process. And now we have the immigration raids, right? And as we all know, this has sent a profound chill throughout farm worker communities. Many farm workers are afraid to leave their homes, afraid to go grocery shopping, to even go to the doctor, for fear that they will be kidnapped by ICE or Border Patrol, depending on where you live, and be separated from their families. I recently knocked on the door of a farm worker in their home. He didn't open the door, which is good, of course. That's the correct procedure at this point. Don't open the door to somebody you don't know. But what he told me next, although it didn't surprise me, it was very disturbing and I think indicative of the moment we're in. He told me he had to call his boss to ask if he was allowed to speak with me, right? This is not his work time. He's at home. He's living on the farm, but it shows us the measure of surveillance and control that people are experiencing, right? And it's complicated because, of course, you don't want ICE coming onto farms and conducting raids, but we also know that people need to have some measure of freedom of movement and freedom of association. So you can try to imagine what it's like attempting to organize and improve your working conditions in this environment. And unfortunately, this is not the worst of it. We know of one young worker who died because his employer told him he could not leave the farm to seek medical attention. It was too risky, and he could be picked up by ICE. So this is life and death for people. Workers are hesitant to speak out when they are not paid what they've earned, when their wages are stolen. They're afraid to file workers' comp claims to get their medical bills covered when they're injured on the job. They're often afraid to come forward if they're sexually harassed, if they're mistreated at work. And this was true before, and it's now that much worse. And unfortunately, there are some unscrupulous employers who are more emboldened than ever to take advantage of this fear and isolation that people are navigating. And at the same time, we see immigrants every day showing up, fighting, working, putting food on the table, fighting for a better future for themselves and their families, confronting this with so much resilience, so much grit, and even humor, honestly. So I know I have to wrap it up. I just want to end on a positive note because I know how many people are out there fighting in big and bold ways and also in quiet ways to restore their dignity. So I just want to encourage all of you to keep fighting alongside them. There are so many things we can do here at the local and state level. So if you're not sure what to do, come talk to me. There's a million other people in this room, I think, who have ideas and are engaged in action. Thank you so much to UIDN for hosting us today, and thank you to Reverend Liz for Old Dutch Church and Reverend Liz for having us. Thank you. Take care.
So I haven't seen her, but I was hoping we would hear from Maria Espinal. Oh, Maria, come on up. Maria is one of our so Ulster Immigrant Defense Network, if you don't know us, we only have 3 part-time paid employees, and this is one of them. You can't believe what she packs into her day, so yay for Maria. And then the rest of our work is done by 300 and more volunteers, a lot of you here.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Maria Espinal. I am a caseworker, as it was stated, Ulster Immigrant Defense Network. Thank you. This morning I was contemplating on what I wanted to share with you all. And one of the things that kept coming through my mind is, why am I doing this today? So I don't know about you all, but I have been marching, protesting, making signs, talking to people, and it gets a little bit like, okay, what are we doing this for again? And so I had, that was a question that was running through my mind, and I want to share some of my thoughts with you. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you to the organizers of this event. Thank you for Rural Migrant Ministries. Thank you for the church for having us here. Thank you for everybody who showed up today and everybody who drove in the Caravan. I love the story of going to the beach. I think it's just so wonderful how we can make a difference just by showing up, and you never know who you're going to impact. Thank you to everybody who's been fighting to create dignified workplaces that provide fair wages, proper housing, health care for our migrant workers. And most importantly, I want to say thank you to all the essential workers who have labored to grow the food that I eat, the milk that I drink, who care for my elderly mother, who came in the middle of winter during the pandemic and fixed my roof. I want to say thank you. I'm here to say that I see you. I see how in order to put food on your family's table, you sacrifice and toil under conditions that need much improvement, often not having proper housing and not being able to go to the doctor because you don't have insurance. And are afraid that if you show up to work, you might not come back home to your family. I see you. They're our neighbors. They're my friends. I see the tears that you cry because you had to leave your elderly parents back in Mexico and Guatemala, and you don't know if you're going to see them again. I'm here today because I want to do my part in changing the narrative. The immigrant workers in New York State are doing essential work. They are creating opportunities and contributing to our tax coffers. They are not taking something that doesn't belong to them and belongs to someone else. Rather, I believe that the migrants, both here in the United States and all around the world, is helping keep that dream alive. The dream that we call the American dream, it's being kept alive by the migrant worker. I believe that New York State would benefit from pathways that would connect the migrant worker and all those many employers to fill those 500,000 jobs that New York has available that are going unfilled. I believe that this is essential work, and we need people to do it. And we shouldn't be taking them away, but rather uplifting them every day and giving them more opportunity and more access. I'm here today to share my experience, strength, and hope. I am an immigrant from the Dominican Republic. My parents were farmers. My family, while not rich in monetary wealth, had land to grow their own food, raise cows for milk and tobacco to sell. When that wasn't enough to sustain, thanks to migrant policies of the 1960s, they came here, like many of us have, looking for a different way. They traded farm life for factory life. That's what I knew growing up. My parents owned a women's clothing store for a little while, but first my mom worked as a unionized seamstress. Since then, there have been graduations from Harvard, Princeton, Barnard, Columbia. This is my family thing. Businesses have been created, established, opened, closed, restaurants opened, many jobs created for others. And even though my parents didn't even graduate from primary school, all this was possible. For many in my family, the American dream has been a reality. I'm here today because Doris Huerta says that I have power. Each person is their own power. She demonstrated this point by recounting a story one time of a farm worker from California who found himself in New York. You may have heard this story. He found himself in a New York supermarket, and he had the courage to go into the store and ask them to remove the grapes, and they did. He called her elated. They took the grapes away. She asked, well, what supermarket was it? I can't tell you because I can't read. He couldn't read, yet he had the power to advocate for himself and his own dignity. Our experience, compassion, voices gives us that power, and together we can change the lives of migrant friends and better our communities. I'm here today thinking about our friends who's sitting in a hospital right now, desperately needing a transplant that he has been denied by medical profession because he doesn't have health insurance because of his status. His prognosis isn't good. Many are fighting to get him health insurance, and maybe there's a pathway, but it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. And he was a farm worker back in his home country. I was sitting with him the other day, and he was sharing some stories with me and recounting his sadness and his pain, and kind of thinking that maybe it's just best he go back to his homeland and to be able to say goodbye to his family. And what he was missing was the work of the land. That's what he knows. He missed his hands in the soil, and he was telling me about that. And he also was telling me that he wished he could get up out of that bed and wants to go to work so he can pay his dues and send the money that his family is depending on. I don't know about you, but when I'm in my deathbed, I don't know that I'm going to be thinking about wanting to go back to work. But this man misses it. That's what he knows. So I'm here because he can't be here right now. He can't speak, and I have a voice. And I encourage you to use your voice as well. Thank you all.
So today is so important. It's important to feed our souls with positivity, and that's what we're doing, right? We're accepting these words of beauty and joy, and we're sitting here for a little bit because we've been on the front lines, and here we are, and we're soaking it in. So there's a few more things we need to do. There's 3 more things. First, we need to thank people. So let's thank the Tin Horn Uprising for a crazy, wild welcome. There's a group none of you know about, a secret group called the Ulster Rapid Responders, and they are outside making sure that everybody's safe. All of you can get up to date on Know Your Rights, and then you can be somebody who can just witness or respond. Everybody's going to be called to do this. Our church secretary had a visit from 3 agents. She doesn't know what agency, and they were looking for information. There were women, and she invited them in because she's our church secretary at her house. And she didn't know what agency, and they asked questions about her neighbors. So this can happen. This isn't just happening for people who don't have white skin like mine. This is happening to everyone. So know your rights. There's lots of information. So I want to make sure that you have to go out this way. Go out, get some information from the information table about all those groups. And the other thing that you need to do before you go, and I'm going to call Mario up to sing us out with a song or two, because we need to keep feeding our souls. And so Mario, we thank you so much for beauty and crying and truth. But the other thing we need to do is to feed our bodies. And we got the timing not quite right, but the Women's Academy of immigrant women, organized women, has created 100 meals, and they're waiting for all of us to buy them for $10 each. So before you leave, get a plate. You need cash or a QR code to buy that food, and it's really exquisite. So Maria, would you come up, and do you need to say something before? Can you just tell them that we're doing a tribute to? Oh, okay. There's going to be after Mario's finished, head to the courthouse because there's a tribute. Like one get some food, and then head over to the courthouse, which is right across the street, because it's the amazing story of Sojourner Truth, and it's a beautiful time for us all to gather and to hear it once more. Yes, come.
We're so excited to have Sojourner Truth at the county office building, and we're actually doing a big kind of community, like welcoming her on, you can come over and see her now, but also we hope you'll come on August 15th at 6 p.m. as we officially welcome this incredible piece of art and tribute to someone who continues to inspire all of us every single day. So please come, August 15th.
Personally, I consider Sojourner Truth to be the saint of our city. So, Mario. Take out your green sheets. The caravan will gather at the Walgreens at the plaza. Take out your green shirts. Let's learn one more song before we go.
So if you are traveling with the caravan today, please go and get your food so that we can go to the courthouse and keep moving. So if you don't mind getting your food.
Well, I hate to stand in between anybody and a tostada, so I'll keep this brief, and I encourage you all to, as you're walking out, move your bodies and just kind of like shake off, stretch your legs from all that driving. I'm gonna put on my little beatbox here. You guys can follow along if you like. We're gonna do A Caballo Vamos Pa'l Monte, right? So this is a work song, a Cuban work song called El Carretero, and I'll sing the chorus for you guys. You guys can join in. A caballo vamos pa'l monte, a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte. Right? That's it. A caballo vamos pa'l monte. On horseback, we're going off to the mountainside, to the mountains, to the country to do our work, right? Here we go. Hay por el camino del sitio mío un carretero alegre paso. Ay, que su tonada, que muy guajira y muy sentida, alegre canto. Me voy al transbordador a descargar la carreta. Me voy al transbordador a descargar la carreta para llegar a la meta de mi penosa labor. Here we go. A caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte. Beautiful. Yo trabajo sin reposo para poderme casar, que yo trabajo sin reposo para poderme casar, que y si lo puedo lograr, ser un guajiro dichoso. Here we go. A caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte. Soy guajiro y carretero, en el campo vivo bien. Soy guajiro y carretero, en el campo vivo bien porque el campo es el Edén más lindo del mundo entero. One more time. A caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte. One more time. A caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte, y a caballo vamos pa'l monte. Chapea del monte, cultiva tu llano, recoja el fruto de tu sudor. Chapea del monte, cultiva tu llano, recoja el fruto de tu sudor.
Mario, how can we get your music?
Spotify, Mario Rincon. There might be a few of us, but, you know.
But you know what this one looks like. You've been here in person. We got to support his music. He offers us so much light and goodness. Thank you, Mario.